China might finally be waking up as Chinese luxury customers start being publicly, overtly furious over the sales tactics of Hermes in the region. What do they do to retaliate? We're standing up, y'all. Slowly but surely. Listen, let's get to it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Push the join button next to the subscription button. Become a member today and gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon. superdacob all spelled together there as well for extra perks. Thank you to my members and patrons who already pledged. This video is being filmed live in front of a live virtual audience. I live stream several times a week. Come join the live chats. Hi, chat. Look. LuxuryLaunches.com wrote an article saying Chinese customers are furious over Hermes sales tactics that make them spend over $10,000 on accessories just to get on a Birkin Kelly or Constance waiting list. Now, there's been talk, just side note here, there's been talk at Hermes that the Constance bag, now that the lockdowns are over, production is slowly getting back to normal speed, allegedly. There's been talk that the Constance is going to enter the non-quota bag category. So Constance might pretty soon, at least in Europe, might pretty soon no longer be a quota bag. They might have already implemented this in France by now as I'm filming this video, but don't quote me on that. So we still have technically the Kellys and the Birkins that are quota bags, but apparently in China, the Constance is also on the quota list. So the article talks about a lady who is having her 40th birthday, and to mark the celebration of her 40th birthday, she wanted to treat herself with hubby to an Hermes bag. Now, she didn't even want a Birkin or a Kelly. She was interested for the longest time to get her hands on a Constance in a pale mint green with a distinctive H on the buckle. Hati's husband took her to Paris to celebrate the big day, so we're not even in China anymore. They went to Paris. And they planned to visit the closest Hermes store to the hotel on the first morning to buy it. As they walked in, the sales associates let them see all the bags, were super kind and blah, blah, blah. And then when they said, okay, we want to purchase the bag, they say, the customer says they were very polite, the sales associates, and let me look at all the different Constance models, but I couldn't buy one because apparently there were not nearly enough bags to meet demand. Instead, I would need to create a relationship with the sales associates first. When asked how exactly she was expected to do that, the hubby asked, the sales associates allegedly hinted heavily that she should purchase other products first, and only then would they put her on a waiting list for a Constance. And then they say, it felt wrong on many levels and I was really disappointed. The wife says, I can't afford to buy lots of very expensive Hermes scarves and other accessories I don't need, just so I'm in with a chance to get the one I actually do want. My husband and I ended up going to another brand, but it left me with a bad taste in my mouth. Now, I'm not so sure which boutique this was, but usually with Hermes in Europe, depending which country you're in, I mean, if you're in Paris, you go to Saint Honoré and you make an appointment. You have to make an appointment first, and it's a lottery appointment. If you make a leather appointment, you can go and score a Birkin Kelly Constance on the day of your appointment, if they have one that you're looking for. Or if you're ready to buy whatever they have. A lot of people are just ready to get whatever they're offered. But in France, an Hermes boutique, to imply that you got to buy stuff before they offer you a bag is a bit awkward. This is something that happens in Asia a lot and in America. But we digress. So the Hermes bag drought is nothing new. And then the article talks about Lucy Liu in the 2001 Sex and the City episode where she wants the Birkin bag and it's super hard to get. And then Samantha Jones kind of is her PR agent in that episode, and she scores the Birkin for herself, saying that it's for Lucy Liu, and then Lucy Liu finds out, takes the bag, and Samantha loses a client. But that's kind of one of those moments in the early 2000s that have made the Birkin bag skyrocket to levels unprecedentedly reached by any other luxury bag in terms of desirability, covetability, and unattainability at the same time. So, now, but more than 20 years later, after the Sex and the City episode, the rise of chat rooms devoted to this very topic of the unattainability of a Birkin and a Kelly has allowed customers to better understand quite how much money they need to spend on other goods before they get a whiff of Hermes leather. And so on these forums, you find out different information. On some forums, you might hear news or information that the ratio of spending is 1-to-1. So meaning if the bag you want to buy is $10,000 before you are offered the opportunity to purchase the bag for $10,000, you first gotta allegedly spend $10,000 on other stuff in the store before you're offered. Now, everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only. Everything's alleged, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's just my opinion. Don't shoot the messenger, as they say. So you gotta spend like $10,000 on silk scarves, clothes, homeware in countries like the US. But if you do, or in China, Singapore, they're going to put you on a fast track towards your desired bag. But you might still not get it, even though you are on that fast track. If you want a particularly sought-after model, then you might need to spend more than what it is actually worth. The more limited editions. Now, there is a viral trend going on TikTok at the moment called the Hermes game hashtag. Hashtag Hermes game. We used to call it the journey just a year or two ago, but apparently this journey has evolved into a game. The Hermes game hashtag has been created on TikTok in response to this difficulty of obtaining these products. It has 65 million likes on the platform and thousands of views on YouTube. The users in these games, TikToks, hashtagged content created on social media, users from China describe these alleged practices as, and here we learn something new, I didn't know this, pei huo. Pei huo. I hope I pronounced this correctly, my Chinese friends. If not, my apologies. Which roughly translates as matching purchase. Pei huo. Anybody in the chats from China? Let me know if I pronounce this correctly. The videos often show unhappy customers endlessly buying fluffy sandals. The Iran fluffy sandals. Oof. Keychains and belt bags while they wait for the one thing they actually want. Birkin, Kelly, or Constance. In China, this has led to protests. First in Beijing and then in Shanghai, when a shopper claimed they had bought $20,000 worth of Hermes goods upon encouragement by a salesperson in order to get a Birkin in 2021 per Jing Daily. Before that, one Beijing-based Hermes customer was apparently so upset with this pursuit of a bag that he stood outside the brand store holding up a sign saying, "Rubbish Hermes, pei huo, but no bag," as reported by Six Stone. Pei huo meaning matching purchase. So somebody, y'all, first world problems, I want to say. So you cannot get your Birkin, Kelly, or Constance, so you're very upset that you kept playing the game, kept spending the thousands of dollars, buying the scarves and the fluffy sandals that nobody wants, the homeware goods, all that stuff. And then after 20K spent, they're still not offering you the Birkin, Kelly, or Constance. And then you go in front of the store, lifting a paper saying, I've been cheated. Hermes. Like, what are you doing? Okay, so you have a card, you're holding a card in front of the store. You don't work for them. It's not like you're on a strike. It's not like you're striking. It's like, what is this? You're protesting. So wait, what did the thing say? Rubbish Hermes, pei huo, but no bag. Oh, bless his heart. Bless his heart. But here's the twist. Of course, news outlets keep asking Hermes, hey, care to comment on this? On your somewhat sus and shady practices of saying, we don't got the bag. Sorry, boo. Hermes apparently says, however, None of this is a policy, says Hermes, allegedly. And they say it is saying it strictly that Hermes strictly prohibits any sales of certain products as a condition to the purchase of others. But on the other side, we have a lot of clients sharing other stories that attest the opposite of this, right? And then there's also examples, the article says, of clients who share stories of buying bags with relative ease without being forced to take home dog beds and men's underwear. Still, forums and social media beg to differ. Hermes allegedly doesn't give commissions to store assistants when they sell particularly popular leather models per purse blogs, forums, which is surely an incentivization to persuade people to buy other goods instead. But they equally insist that shoppers purchase horse saddles or tea flasks first, which have a far lower resale value, and that weeds out the flippers, shoppers who know they can double earn their money by placing a brand new Birkin or Kelly on a resale site like Vestiaire Collective. So, and this is also information per purse blogs forums. This is essential for not only Hermes, but for watch brands like Rolex, who are also infamous for not selling you the most covetable, desirable Rolex watches before you buy a ton of other Rolex watches or Rolex products that are not as covetable and as resellable as those main watches. Now, this all depends which country you're in. I do believe that a lot of this has to do with Asia as a continent, but not all of Asia as a continent, but some particular countries within Asia, where there is this very strange attitude of placing European luxury on a pedestal of being like the highest form of showing off wealth. And it is something that seems to be more apparent whenever Asian clients are talking about their experience shopping in these luxury brands, with these luxury brands in particular with Hermes, and also with their desire to show off wealth by, let's say, owning a specific type of exotic skin Birkin or Kelly, and driving a specific European luxury car and wearing a European luxury watch. And it's kind of rooted in their culture. It's more of a cultural phenomenon. While at the same time in Europe, it's not. So not everybody's rushing desperately to show off to the rest of society that they can afford something. So, so I think also the amount of Birkins and Kellys sold in Europe is a little bit lower. However, you have a lot of tourists flying into Europe, different countries in Europe, wanting to purchase these bags because they're a little bit cheaper in Europe, in the euro price, than in their home countries because of, whether it be inflation rates, import fees, or just because of harmonization of prices, as Chanel loves to call them, in particular Chanel. But obviously, they're not so easily attainable. Many European countries now have this policy set in place that you have to online write to Hermes, to the boutique you want to buy a quota bag in. They're not considered quota bags in many European countries, by the way. And then they can only give you an appointment 1 month, within a time frame of 1 month. And they have special allocated slots for leather appointments. And if you ask for an appointment today, the sales associate that receives the email request checks their 1 month schedule. If there's a slot open in that 1 month, they will allocate it to you. Otherwise, they're going to say, sorry, no slots available. Then you can ask again next week. And then you get that month. And then they're going to check that month. That's how you go until you finally get a slot. If you get a slot, they give you a time in a day, usually 3 weeks after you've requested any slot. So how can you plan a trip like that? You know what I mean? It's really hard. And then you go to your appointment. There you don't get to buy anything. You get to order something. Birkin, Kelly, whatever, And then you say which size you would prefer. They offer you a set amount of colors. You can't really just say, I want mauve sylvestre. No, you can say, I want a Kelly in the pink family. And then they're going to tell you, okay, but you don't get to choose. When the artisan that is making your order, when it's your turn a year from now, if you mark that you want a pink bag, they will make you a pink bag in the seasonal pink tones of leather that they have when they start making your bag, when it's your turn for your bag to be made. If you're not lucky, you're gonna get a really ugly shade of pink. Granted, all shades of pink are gorgeous. Bad example. Let's say green. You love green, but then you say green, and then 2 years, 1.5 years from when you placed your order, they contact you, hey, your bag is here in like some vomit green color, which is the seasonal green of that season. You don't get to choose that, right? You get to choose several colorways like, black, gold, étain, taupe, the standard colors that are always there, the classic colors, but you don't get to choose the spec. You can't just go there and say, I want a mauve sylvestre, But that's kind of how it goes. And then they contact you a year or two later when the bag is ready, and then you get a week time to arrive, pay, pick up. No purchase history required. That's several European countries for you. In America, a slightly different scenario. Either you are famous or you got your connections, then they can offer you whatever they got in stock. But Asia is usually where I hear the biggest horror stories, and also Australia, like where people are like desperately buying and buying and buying Twillies and soaps and perfumes and clothing, horse riding gear, homeware, and they never get offered the Birkin, Kelly, or Constance. So there's a lot more competition. So I guess it all depends where you're at, which part of the world you're at. But if Hermes is officially saying, we don't allow these games of purchase history requires blah, 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 maybe that's the general company policy, but then what goes really down in every individual store, I think that boils down to what the sales associate with the store manager is aiming towards, because they got to meet their quotas as well. They can't operate a fashion store and never sell a piece of clothing and just sell Birkins and Kellys. They have to warrant to somehow also sell these other things. And if the clientele in your particular region is super aggressive and just wants that one specific product and nothing else, then you become aggressive too as a salesperson. If your clients are all super aggressive and they want just that one thing and they peck at you, then you start retaliating. Then you're like, okay, I can't take this anymore. Like, no, girl, you cannot do that. I cannot just have a store full of clothes that nobody wants to buy because I'm just selling the bags. So I do believe that in some instances, it seems as though certain behavioral patterns in these boutiques are also at the discretion of management of that boutique. Meaning local managers, district managers, whatever, might say, hey, we got to meet the budgets. We ordered this amount of product. If we don't sell this product, then they're not going to let us order as many bags anymore next year. So you have to keep your balances. So, I can see how it can become a problem if your clientele in your region is only focused on one thing and one thing only. But you got 100 things to sell. So I understand also why these stores are kind of focusing on making people understand underneath, in between the lines, hey, there's just not enough of these bags to go around for everyone, but everyone wants one. So how do we do this? So we start prioritizing. Our best clients get offered the bag. And who's the best client? The one that spends the most. The one that buys the most things. And that's where these games begin. That's where these games start. Too much demand. So you, as a client, instead of lifting papers and boards in front of Hermes boutiques, like slandering them and saying, I've been tricked and this and that, you're trash. Instead of doing that, How about you all stop buying Hermes for just a year in Asia, in the continent of Asia, several countries in Asia. And just give them time to produce stock. Just give them time to make these freaking bags. And then 1 year later, you go back, situation will be different because the demand has decreased. As long as the client is literally bombarding them with the demand for one only specific product, but they cannot meet that demand, you're going to have these issues. So it's up to you, the client, to stop pushing so hard. Stop being so aggressive about it. And quite frankly, stop being so desperate for it. You don't need a Birkin or a Kelly or a Rolex watch to prove your wealth. Maybe you do in Asia, but you don't in the rest of the world. I mean, it's quite embarrassing. Seriously. Like, to even have that need to show off wealth that way, very cringe. Very cringe. But hey, to each their own. Hope you've liked this video topic. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you have, thumb it up, subscribe, and until next time, love you loads. Never give up on love. Bye.